everybody. We are here today with William Holloway. Say hey.
Hey, hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And we're going to be talking today about the transits, solar arcs, secondary progressions, solar return for the US. Because anybody that's been paying attention to the astrology surrounding the US, there's a lot going on. And it's not just the US, that there's a lot going on in the world in general, but the US
Yeah,
is a major player in what's going on in the world.
totally.
So, yeah. So this is so we'll be looking primarily, we were talking about this. We'll be looking at primarily till the US's next birthday.
Till next summer.
Yeah, till next summer. Since we do have the solar return to look at that took place. I think it was on July 5th. I can't remember. It was like the day.
Yeah, July 5th, 2025.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, should we go ahead and jump in looking at transit?
Sure. Do we want to look at the birth chart of the US first and just kind of give the greatest hits of
Sure. We can do
just like
that.
a little
Yeah, we can do that. Good idea. Let me blow this up. Okay, so I've got the transits pulled right now. I can just
here we go. Yeah.
okay. So, what greatest hits would you like to?
Well, so this is interesting. Okay, so you do Placidus and I look at it through whole sign, but we still get the same thing. So we get the same idea. And so this is also a good lesson in like how different house systems work and how you can really use any of them because they work, they all work in their own way, right? Um, so it's a Sagittarius rising chart, which is totally fitting for the US. It's ruled by that Jupiter and Cancer. So, which Jupiter's in Cancer right now, as we know. So so it's having its Jupiter return. In fact, in the solar return chart, which we'll look at soon, where it's having an exact Jupiter return. It's at 5 degrees Jupiter.
Yes.
Um, and in this chart, you've got everything going on. It seems like if you look around the chart, besides that Aquarius moon, which is very fitting, right? Like innovative and um uh yeah, innovation's the first thing I think of, right? With that Aquarius moon, very much American.
Mhm.
Um, future forward. And then all that stuff in Cancer. So if you look in the whole sign chart, it's everything's in the eighth house. Here you see it's like a pile up at the seventh and eighth. It's all works the same. Um, and I think it really speaks to why we are so enmeshed in everything else happening in the world, right? All of our partnerships, and then the eighth house, especially in mundane / world astrology. The eighth house has a lot to do with, pull up my old cheat sheet here, because yeah, it has to do with financial relations with other nations and national debt, FBI, CIA. I mean, so of course we're so enmeshed in the rest of it just speaks to how we are just behind the scenes in everything, right?
Yes, and even like yeah, and I mean in this one we have there is some yeah, the behind the scenes, the seventh house ruler in the eighth feels very behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's like we're kind of keeping an eye out on everybody, right?
Yes. Yes, we are. And the Mercury retrograde here, that has always felt I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. I am censoring just a little bit because I
Okay.
because I love I love retrograde planets in general. I do, but I do
Yeah.
wonder if in the case of the US, this is how I don't think we always know how to talk to other countries.
It's so true. I mean,
You know what I mean?
people make fun of the way that we talk, you know. Um, I remember getting really offended right around when Trump first came into office, and I was talking to a friend of mine who was Canadian, and he made a comment about how I talked like Donald Trump. And I was like, what? He
You're
was
like,
like, well, you all talk. He's like, all Americans talk like this. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, everything is so over the top. That's the best. It's the worst. It's this and that. And that's very American. I never really thought of it that way. Um, yeah.
that yeah, that's interesting. I haven't. That's interesting because I'm thinking to myself the way that I talk, and sometimes I'll do that too, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want to have anything in common with that man. Like,
I know. It's like, oh, well, he's an American and so are we. So maybe there is something there that, needs to be examined a little bit. I don't know.
why are we that way? Like,
Yeah.
as a side note, this is kind of a we are recording, right?
Yes, I remember hearing I remember hearing, yep, it says being recorded.
Okay, good. Sorry, that's a little Mercury retrograde shit too, I guess. I'm like,
Oh, and yeah, no, it's good to double check, right?
yeah, it is.
Well, I also like that. I mean, obviously Sagittarius rising when the first house and when you're looking at a nation chart is going to speak to the people as a whole, Sagittarius rising does make sense when you think about it. Being over the top and everything being big and,
It does, and even our like as our country created itself over time, the expansion, the
yeah.
uh,
And we're still, yeah,
yes, and that and and as problematic in so many ways that was and is, um, it is kind of that the expansion, the marker of Sagittarius is very much there.
yeah, yeah. And it's so much about our history. I'm watching that new Ken Burns uh on PBS. He's, all of his things are like 15 hours long or whatever, but about the US Revolutionary War, which I was never interested in, to be honest, before. But I have found it interesting to think about that moment in time where, because before we were um, a bunch of states within a country, we were those 13 colonies, and the British ruled, and we were under a monarchy. And it was really it was mostly rich people that wanted to expand. The everyday person on the colonies, because the rules were you weren't really allowed to go past, right? The Native Americans
Yeah.
still had that, and um, the monarchy liked it that way because they had control over like whatever they were getting from them, and they got to keep. But Native Americans got to keep land, at least at the time. I don't know that that would have lasted,
Yeah.
but you know. But the average person actually didn't want to. They were happy with how it was. They didn't feel like they needed to go. So I thought that was an interesting thing.
That is that kind yeah, that is yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing with the US's chart that's always struck me because we are about to hit our Uranus return is
Yeah.
having it right, is having it conjunct the descendant and the descendant being like, it's like what we attract, right? So we attract chaos. Like we attract,
Yep.
but I also feel like I'm not trying to just shit on us here, but we do. I think the descendant is also, what we may not realize or we might ignore or dismiss or whatever, not pay attention to. And I think we have a tendency to cause chaos other places as well.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason we do it. I think sometimes, it's kind of like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think sometimes there are good intentions. I think sometimes the intentions aren't so great. But
Right.
you know what I mean? I
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the way, when people, when people go to war, when people join the army, I mean, at least back in the day, like, eh, there's a difference between like what someone, they have good intentions, right? Like this is what you did as an American, whatever,
yes.
blah, 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 blah. Doesn't mean that, there were good intentions on the greater whole. I don't know. It's
Yes.
all complicated. It is complicated, right?
It is all complicated and it's not black and white. Just like people, right? People are not black and white.
Right.
Countries aren't either. They all do a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, and it, is what it is. Unfortunately, for the bad, it is what it is. But
Hmm.
it does. I look at this and that's like it's very
Yeah.
to
It's
me.
like it's having like, multiple adversaries.
Yes. Yes, that too. Yes. That
It's
that too.
part of it.
Should we pull the transits?
Yeah, let's look at that.
Okay. All right. Do I have it on the right date? Let me check and make sure. Yes, I do. Okay, cool. Yay. Okay. Okay. So
So,
what you notice
what
first?
the first thing I see is the Chiron return happening. That was the first thing that popped up, which is funny because we were talking off camera or before recording. I was saying how I'm like allergic to Chiron because it's in my first house, so I have it turned off in my software. But I'm always like, whenever I have to face Chiron, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna look at it. Let's talk about it.
No, I get it. Like, yeah, yeah. I'm sure having being a first house Chiron person, it's like you don't want to look at that shit.
Yeah, because I felt like I had to crack the code before I could get any further, and I knew that I didn't want to. It wasn't time for that, so I was like, I'll deal with you later.
I'll deal with you later. Yeah, this is
Yeah. It's like old wounds, unsettled things coming home to roost, right? I
yes.
mean, that's maybe a harsher way of saying it.
Yeah, it is, but yeah, I feel like, Americans, we're very individualistic, right? And this is an Aries. And there's nothing wrong with being individualistic, but you also have to keep the collective in mind. And I feel like we don't do that very well a lot of the time.
Right.
Um,
It's very true.
and I feel like there's something to be said here about that with this. Like we've got it. We got to come together.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not just about the rich, right? Like coming back to that idea that like, I mean, democracy was a how do you say it? Democracy was always just kind of like a byproduct of the Revolutionary War. It wasn't necessarily the intention, but it's what got everyone behind the idea of everyone having, this thing, uh, which is democracy. But as we know, it's always been about class, whether we want to say it or not, right? Like, or whether we ever wanted to be able to admit it or not, that like certain people have access to things that other people don't.
Yes. And that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like it really is. And I think people are start I do think people are starting to it's one of those things like that dirty word. You just, it's not something you don't talk about or people don't really talk about or want to acknowledge, but I think more
Yeah.
people are acknowledging this now that
They are. And, I live in a rural area. You live in like the Austin area, so I don't know how rural it is where you live, but because I'm not familiar with that area as much, but I live like in a pretty rural area and obviously you see it, but for people to talk about it, I mean, I don't know who they voted for, but it's everyone is feeling it. Everyone is talking about it, no matter who they are. So yeah, it's like pretty clear. It's that feeling of like, um, with while Trump builds his golden ballroom and while people are going starving, right?
that bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got some thoughts about that. That would probably take us off on a tangent, but
We could do a whole episode on that, right?
well, no, but that golden ballroom bullshit, I'm thinking, okay, I've got two thoughts about that. First thought is it's just ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. Two is what is actually the purpose? Like, I don't know, my little tinfoil hat that'll come out sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a thought that I have that like, is there another purpose to this? Is there something some other reason for this?
I
Like,
think part of it's a distraction. I think he
yeah.
thought that people would care enough about that to not pay attention to all the other stuff going on. I think it just shows I don't want to say it was the beginning, but it did feel like a real, like there seemed to be more people on the right upset about this than there were on the left, which I found interesting, right?
Well, it's because that makes them look like fools.
Yeah, totally, totally,
You
totally.
know, you know what I mean? Like, I thought probably like
Yeah,
voted for this person, and he's building a fucking golden ballroom. Like,
yeah.
but it's interesting. The talking about it, the realizing it. That's where healing can happen, right? And that's also Chiron is the
Hmm.
healing, but this is always going to be this kind of stuff will always kind of be an Achilles heel, I think, for us, right?
Yes.
We have to actually learn from it. And Humans
We
aren't
have to learn
always
from it, yeah, and not do not, like the acknowledgement of it, you see more, I should say the rich. I don't want to like I'm really just putting like the left and the right rich as the same thing right now. Is that you see this disdain for people that have less than them and that they are somehow needy, and that is just becoming needy and lazy, right? And that is only becoming that idea that they really believe that is becoming strong. You're just hearing the things that come out of the rich people's mouths as being more and more um just like, wow, okay, you said the quiet part out loud, that kind of
yes.
thing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Um, what else do you notice?
So let's see. Um, so these are the transits right now. So
The IC of the US is like it's like at what? Hold on, let me see something real quick. I'm gonna just make it one.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, fuck. Okay. Okay. I wasn't even paying attention to that before. So that's Saturn Neptune conjunction that happened.
Oh, it's right on the IC.
Yeah, it'll be like, yes, it'll be like, right. Let me see. Let me edit it so everybody can see the visual. Um, actually, hold on, let me do this differently because I think I might have that's gonna get all kinds of yeah, let's do it like okay. Yeah, let's do it for February 20th of 2026.
Right, because that's the date of the exact conjunction.
Hmm. Yeah, let's do this.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
wow.
This is at one something, and these are gonna be at 0:45.
This feels like multiple things, but I the first word that comes to mind is revolution. Uh,
Uh, yeah.
like if you know the history of the Saturn Neptune cycle, its connection to revolution and class struggles, class
Structures dissolving.
struggles. Yeah, like yeah. Like things falling how do I want to put this? Like unions, movements, new things being born under the Saturn Neptune conjunction, uh, being related to the people fighting back, essentially.
I have, I'm looking at this. Yes, and I agree with you. And I know that I was and I know I off before we started recording, I started talking about financial stuff.
Yeah.
Um, there are other reasons why, but I look at this and I look at this Pluto conjunct the South Node coming up.
Yeah. Well,
There's
and then I'll say the other thing that I said off camera, which was and when we look at obviously, Pluto and Aquarius has been a big part of this
Mhm.
astrology everywhere because that's, a big deal. And then when you look at the solar return chart, which we'll look at soon, it's a Aquarius rising, so that Pluto is up front, right? And everybody wants to talk about what does it mean for Pluto to be an Aquarius, and I do think a big part of it is the tech, because it's so integral to whether we like it or not, it's so integral to our present and future, almost too much. If you look, if you look right now in such a short amount of time, it's AI, unfortunately, that's keeping our economy afloat.
Yes.
And that's going to burst. When? Maybe around here. I don't know, but it's going to burst.
I'm gonna show a picture of something real quick. Since I kind of drug us here. Um I'm gonna go in. Okay, so another thing about like what we're talking about is okay, so these are the solar arcs. I have them set for today. Um solar arcs on the outside, US's natal chart on the inside. And with solar arcs, just for anybody who is not familiar, depending on who you listen to, some people will be like, oh, you don't want to go out beyond five or point like half a degree applying, half a degree separating. I go out a little further, a degree applying, a degree separating. Just because I feel like you feel the waves of these things before they, right? So I will give it that
Hmm.
much. But I noticed this little motherfucker.
Oh boy.
The
Yeah.
the solar arc south node coming up on Saturn, and Saturn being the ruler of this second house in the US's chart. And this feels a lot like having to pay the piper. That's like
Yeah.
the thought I get, and I'm like, I don't like, and I'm not trying. Also, I'm not trying to be a fear mongering asshole. Okay, I'm really not.
Right.
But knowledge is power, and
Knowledge is power. And I think anyone who's not an astrologer can sense that something is coming, right? There's some kind of crescendo approaching. I think everybody knows this.
yeah,
So,
I feel like too, like people, yeah, I mean, people that I know that don't even have any dealings in this in what's going on astrologically, they can feel something something brewing, and like the crescendo you're talking, they can feel it.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm not trying to be a fear mongering asshole, but it is this is deeply concerning to me.
Yeah, it's like the structure won't hold anymore, right? The way we used to do things, we won't be able to do it that way. It's not going to work. There's nothing there to hold us. Like that's kind of my first.
Yeah. The levee breaks,
Yeah.
the balance, we are off balance. We have, and I mean like financially, like with there are a lot of things in our economy that are not balanced. And
Yeah.
what's concerning about that, I mean, I know not trying to act like the US is super important, but we're very, very integral to like the whole world financial system. So
Right.
us having problems here could, you know,
It'll reverberate throughout the world.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's deeply concerning. It's not funny, but it's just it's deeply concerning to me.
Yeah. I'm also, there's a part of me, and I'm sure you feel this, and maybe many watching, there's a part of me that's like, all right, because I think we've all been sensing again, like something has been, we're getting towards, like, in order to get to the other side of something, you have to go through it, right? And I think we all know that it has to get worse before it gets better. And just as bad and as insane as it may seem, I think we all know that it could get a lot worse. And we have to just like, you know, uh, I feel like for me personally, the pandemic was a real good test when it comes to like
Yeah.
emergency situations. What am I going to do? What are my priorities? And that has informed my life since. I know a lot of people feel that way, right?
Yeah, a lot of people did start kind of living more that way, and yes. So that is for those that have, right? That could be helpful here, you know.
Yeah.
It could be. And I think this will probably be exact. I didn't actually pull when the exactitude is. My guess would be probably around we're November 25 right now, maybe 6 months from now, a little sooner.
Okay.
Um,
And that's based on solar arcs because I'm
yes,
not as familiar with solar arcs. I'm fascinated by
yes.
because you can get more timing, right? Isn't that the whole point of solar arcs? Is that finding like you get more specific timing? Or
You can, well, you can also see, yeah, you can in the sense of yeah, you like okay, like when like with rectification, say. I'll ask people like different things that have happened throughout their life, major life things. And if they've got like a time that they think, well, I'll look at the solar arcs and see if anything was lit up around that time that they say, and it kind of helps me to nail down, okay, so this is around that time, and then I'll start looking at transits and shit. So it's helpful in that sense.
okay, okay, cool.
But yeah. I just want to throw that out there. I'm gonna go back to the transits now.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
okay.
what are some big transits that you see?
Well, this one here, this Pluto South
Yeah,
Node,
yeah,
totally. That is
totally.
that is like blah, 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 very, very glaring to me. Uh,
Yeah,
very, very glaring.
Yeah, I mean the second house in world astrology slash mundane astrology. Yeah, it's all about economy. The whole second house. It's just the economy, resources, overall national wealth,
Mhm.
Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, even if you wanted to, I mean, I'm harping on the financial element because I do, think that's
it
incredible.
seems like the biggest thing
Does.
of
But
all of them.
the values too, though, right? Generally, our values. Like with that solar arc south no conjunct Saturn, our values are probably going to be even further called into question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? What do we value and why? And is it off balance?
Right. Is that what got us here? Right.
Yes. Yes. Uh,
It's kind of like whenever anybody is like so focused on Trump, I'm like, he's just a symptom of the greater issue. And if you don't see that, then you're not gonna change, right? Like we have to see it that way. Like he
yeah.
didn't get here by accident. It
No.
was a series of events that led to this, and
Here we are.
we are.
And so we have to deal with the why he that actual the sickness, the symptom that comes from the sickness, like what, yeah, because
Right.
a healthy or balanced country, this wouldn't
No.
happen.
Well, in a small, yeah, exactly.
But that's yeah. um then later on, next year, Saturn, once this conjunction moves away, Saturn will start its square with the sun. Definitely square Venus and Jupiter.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's actually pull it for shit. I don't know. We'll just say July 4th of
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. I want to say there's a big thing
Uh,
happening that
Saturn
day.
will Saturn will totally be squaring
Yeah.
at that point. The sun, um, ninth house ruler, beliefs,
Hmm.
expansion, understanding.
Yeah. All things, and also like air traffic,
Good point.
shipping, mail, things like shipping, international shipping, probably more so than domestic. Um, and then all things connected with the law and religion to academia,
Uh-huh.
research, scientific labs, clergy, immigration policies. Like,
I was gonna say that one. That
yeah,
yes, that something to do with that seems very, especially with just the temperature of everything right now. That
yeah.
seems really apt.
Like it's not, we haven't even seen the how it's gonna get, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's definitely gonna be stress there.
Yeah.
There's definitely gonna be stress. Stress.
Yeah. And then is that
Oh
when
fuck.
Jupiter?
Fuck. Saturn opposite Saturn.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at the sun and people watching this are probably like, Saturn opposite Saturn, lady.
Yeah, well, I didn't even see it either. Okay, well, let's talk about that. I mean, when I think of it, like when I think of Saturn versus Saturn in a natal thing, like if you're having Saturn opposite your Saturn, uh, it has to do with like priorities and like how am I, the way I structure my life is not working. What's going on here? How do I restructure and make sure that because something's not working here. Usually that's what happens when you're having that Saturn opposition, at the very least, right?
Yeah. No, and what you bring up because there'll be like a T square, right? Saturn here, the sun, and then transit Saturn.
Hmm.
The stabilization, right, is turning it into a grand cross in the second house. So this is like something financial, something value, something. It's like this isn't working anymore.
Stability, security.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Something, and that's how we. that's how we kind of balance this or stabilize this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and I did think, I know people were like, they were, you had like people, representatives from the White House that were on like Fox News recently saying, well, this Christmas, just remember what Christmas is about, and just buy gifts for the kids and not the parents. And people like freaking out about that. And while I don't want anyone telling me that, I think at the end of the day, there's some truth to like, I don't want to hear it from them, obviously, but the concept of what do we really need here? What's the most important thing?
Yes.
That's going to be a question that we're all going to be facing, I think.
Yeah, well, and that's a very that's also a very second house thing, right? Needs and wants. What are our needs versus what are our wants?
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes we can have both.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. We've been very
Yes.
lucky.
We have been very lucky also probably to a certain extent. I don't like to necessarily just go with Sagittarius and Jupiter as luck, but I do think the Sagittarius ascendant here and
Yeah.
the exalted ass, Jupiter probably do have given us a certain amount of luck or nine
Mhm.
lives or whatever. Like,
Yeah. And it may still,
yeah. Yes,
but
it really could. And I'd like to think that because I don't, I'm not wishing for anybody's downfall or anything's downfall, but
no.
there are things here that do make me concerned about
Yeah. Yeah.
that. This is also this period of time, July 4th of 2026. This is also right around when the Uranus return starts. I'm using an orb of 5 degrees, applying and separating.
Yeah. Well, especially the outer planets, I think.
And this is like right around when it starts. It's at transit Uranus is at 3:53, and then this is at
Hmm.
8:05. So it's like
Yeah.
right there.
Do we want to talk about Uranus, the history of Uranus and Gemini and how it's been in the USA chart in the past?
An or
War, yeah, tends to correspond with that.
it does. It does.
And major ones, not like, yeah,
Yeah, major one's a civil war, and
Revolutionary War
World War
and
Two.
World War II.
Yes. And before anybody's like, what about World War One? Well, World War One, we weren't in World War One for very long. We were only in it for like a year.
Right.
And also, whenever we've had this is always the Uranus return has always been on the heel of some Pluto action too. Uh,
Mhm.
Transit Pluto action. There was the transit Pluto square natal Pluto right before the Civil War. And then there was transit Pluto opposite natal Pluto during the right before World War II.
Right. And
So
here it's a trine,
yes,
right? Am I looking at that right? It's a trine?
let me see. Which one? Transit Pluto, natal Pluto?
Uh, or transit Pluto,
Or got
trining
it. Yes,
transit.
it.
Well, yeah, also trining the Uranus return. Yeah.
That right here though, that does. Hmm. Well, there's harmony. There's harmony, but what kind of
Yeah.
does that just mean that stuff is easier to you know what I mean? Because people
Yeah.
people automatically think the trines are good, and they certainly can be,
They
but
can be, but
it just really means a harmony of energy, right?
yeah, it just means that it's like flowing. It's in harmony with it with yeah, they're both in air signs. So it's yeah.
Meaning whatever little chaos this shit wants to, this one's gonna be there. There's a flowing of it, right? Like
Yeah, it almost makes me wonder, like, and we've heard people say this in the past, and when they talk about war and how, like, a big, big war in our future might look very different than they did
yes,
back then.
yes.
Maybe it is very much about like technology, right?
That's what I've always thought. Like when people when I've thought about this particular thing, it's not going to be a war like if there was, right? It's not going to be like what we think of going out with tanks and shit.
Yeah,
It's not going to be like that. It's information. It's an information thing. It's
it's an information.
a technology thing. And
Yeah,
really, we've probably been battling this for a while without even,
knowing it.
yes, without fully realizing it. And this just might be when the levee breaks and we start to realize it more or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It might be our dependence on, technology that we might have to, or like rearrange our relationship to.
Which, quite honestly, our relationship to
Needed.
technology has problems as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
and not that I want it rearranged in a way that causes people hurt or
Like that we can't do this, right? Like,
yeah,
but we might not be able to at a certain point. I don't know.
yeah. Because it's like technology is one of like it's a I'm not trying to shit on it. It's fabulous. It does fabulous, it can be used in such wonderful ways. And but it can also be used in such negative ways.
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for social media and reality television, we wouldn't have Trump, probably. We'd have a different version. You know what I mean? It's like social media and I mean, it was like I saw something this morning. It was like two-thirds of like super MAGA accounts on Twitter or X or whatever they call it, are like bots. So there is this kind of like fakeness that we don't realize we're constantly
Yeah. And like they'll
at
argue
war with. Yeah.
the bots will like argue with each other.
They
It's like,
argue with each other. Yeah, it's
now we've
crazy,
got fucking robots arguing with each other.
right?
Fucking robots.
Yeah. Ugh.
Should we look at what would you like to look at next? Or do you want is there anything else you want to say about this one?
Uh, I mean, there's a lot, and I'm sure we could spend hours on this. But yeah, let's move on to the well, one more thing I just realized. Mercury return
And retrograde?
and retrograde
Just like, yeah.
on our birthday. So what is that going to be like? What's that going to be?
To me,
What's going to happen?
and this echoes back that same idea of like there's something we're and I really, with all this other stuff going on, it's like again going back and and Mercury retrograde periods are great for editing, revising,
Resetting.
resetting. Take with that what you will. People watching. Um, if we utilize it that way and keep it in a more positive light, maybe,
Yeah.
but they're great for that.
Hmm.
They're also great for shutting the fuck up. And
They are.
I say this as we are in a Mercury retrograde period right now.
Well, a really wild one as well.
Yeah, really. But yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes we have a problem doing that, shutting the fuck up in general.
Yeah. We have a tendency to talk about things we don't understand. Um, or we just talk. We're like that like if the United States was a person, we'd be that person that hates the sound of silence and just has to fill the room or fill the air with their mouth.
Yes. No, yeah. No, I agree with that. I think, yes, absolutely. I think I think we would be.
Should we look at the solar return chart?
Sure.
Have we done that yet? No, we haven't. I
No,
don't
we have
think.
not. Okay, so I've got like a million fucking
Yeah,
charts going on here. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's July 4th. It is the solar return. Oh, I think the one that was July 5th was when I had it set in Germany or something.
right.
Because that's where our solar return would take place is in Germany.
Right. I was like, huh, Germany. Interesting. Okay. And I was like, wait, are you gonna be? I was like, I was trying to like make it make sense for a minute.
Like, no, I just didn't change it. So this is the solar return. And before anybody is like, why are they pulling a solar return chart? I mean, just like people have solar returns every year, I do think countries can too. I think there's no reason why you can't look at them to see what's going on, what energies might be prevalent in whatever year for whatever country you're looking at. Uh,
Yeah.
what you notice.
Well, we've got that. It's a Aquarius rising chart, which speaks to not only the uh, moment we're in right now with Pluto in Aquarius, but we also have a moon in Aquarius. The United States does.
We do. And I actually might have both of those. Yeah, here they are together.
Right, because then the solar return chart has the moon in Scorpio, which
Mhm. Yeah, which
that's
also
like,
echoes back that it echoes back. Yeah. Yeah, right there.
yep, yeah. Which so then they're like kind of squaring each other, right?
Let's see. Let's go back. By sign, let's see.
By sign, not by house, but by sign.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
by
yeah.
by si- but yeah, by sign they are.
By sign they are. Okay.
I just
Which I
noticed.
think just in general points to like not the easiest year.
No, and look at this. Right, I was talking about Pluto conjunct the south the rising for
Yeah,
solar return is right on that south node too.
yeah.
I'm not sure I'm crazy about that. Um,
Yeah, I'd say like this might be a really good year for people who are really into like survivalist culture.
no, seriously, because that's also the second house talking about needs and wants and security, stability, all of that. But there is also a survivalist quality to the second house. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, there absolutely is. So it's probably, with the technology thing, there's a part of me that wants to say, if there's anything that you want that's tech, that's how do I even fucking say this? I'm not censoring this. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say it.
Mm.
Like if there's anything that you want to save or hold on to that is technology related at all to do that. Um, I don't know. That's where my mind goes to hold.
Yeah, no, I hear that. In fact, it reminded me of the I'm people used to make fun of me because I was like the last person on the planet with a Blu-ray player and I still was like buying DVDs and I'm like one day we're not going to have internet or power or whatever, not power, we're not going to have internet for like however long, right? And so like we're not going to be able to stream movies or the main thing was I was living on the East Coast at the time and you'd have like big
Yeah,
snowstorms where you wouldn't have power or you wouldn't have the internet for maybe a couple days or whatever. And so or even power and you'd have to get a generator. And so it'd be like, well, I want to watch movies. So and I just recently got my Blu-ray player out of the garage and because there's still some movies that are not streaming. And so I got all my non-streaming movies I wanted to watch. But it made me think again, like how something like that, having a physical thing, like we listen to a lot of records. Like if it's an album that I love, I'm gonna not just stream it, I'm gonna buy it on vinyl if it's available. So
same here.
to me, right? Like this feels like if you care about these things, like maybe this is the way to, yeah,
Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah, there's some, yeah, yes, yes, yeah, to all of them.
physical media at the, this is and then whatever other like you can transfer that idea to other things, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that is very, when I see all of this, that is where my mind goes first. Anything that you would want to survive,
Yeah.
those in those realms.
It's kind of like I think about like when I bought my car, it's a hybrid, but originally I was looking at a fully electric, and then I was like, no, because what if we have the apocalypse and I can't drive cross country? I won't be able to like get gas anywhere. Like, let me get a hybrid so I can at least still get gas. And I always, I mean, not to be like whatever, but I think about like what could I fit in my car, right? Like what am I going to bring with me? This is all I got. Like, that kind of mentality. I'm always thinking that way, but that's just me.
No, 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 no. It's not just you because I'm the same.
Okay. Okay.
I'm the same way. Um, Definitely have been known to have a bug out bag
Love it.
so you're speaking my language here. Um, it's one of those things. Actually, I learned that was from a natural hazards and disasters course that I took in college.
Oh, neat.
Like one of
Okay.
my favorite courses that I took, and I remember the professor was like, everybody should have one of these, a bug out bag.
A
And
bug out.
it's like that's what he called it. And everybody's like, "What's that?" It's a bag where you keep all of your important documents. It's a bag where you keep some cash. It's a bag where whatever, anything that's important that if you needed to pick up and go, you can just go out the door with it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not when I say that, I'm not trying to say that anything's going to happen that's going to cause people to need to do that, but that's a kind of thing here.
That
Like,
mentality of like, let me just make sure that, like that we have the bottles of water and that kind of thing. It's
yeah,
just,
you got your ass covered.
yeah.
Yeah, you got your yeah.
Don't allow yourself to be complete. Like if don't be like our parents. And if I feel like our parents are the worst when it comes to maybe yours, I don't know, but when it comes to like the phone's not working, and you're like, oh my God, you didn't have phones even longer than I did, and somehow you can't survive without it. Like, don't be that.
Yes, be prepared. Yes, be prepared.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me go back. Oh, well, that's the weather in Austin. Like, who cares? Um,
Well, it looks nice today.
it is. It is nice. It's like that's clearly not what we're looking at the moment. What else do you notice about the solar return, the US?
Solar return chart. Well, the fact that again back to that Scorpio moon being at the top of the chart, and in the ninth house, it it's speaking crisis to me a little bit, like crisis of faith,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
or like dark night of the soul, possibly for spiritual people, and or religious people, maybe having to reckon with parts of faith that aren't they're ugly,
That need a light shined on it.
need a light shined on it. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, some of these other things we've kind of covered. I do think it's interesting also that Mercury here in Leo is right on that descendant.
Yeah, loosely opposing.
And I think yeah, so like if we wanted to get really specific about what that could mean, I'd want to look at like some other charts. I'm trying to think of like countries that have a Leo rising, but um or like a very prominent Leo. Oh, well, Israel has a very prominent Leo presence. Anyway, um I could go on about that. But
You want to look at the secondary progressions?
yeah, let's look at the secondary progressions.
Okay, let me get off of here. Go back here. And what you always just set it for today's date?
Sure.
Okay.
So, secondary progressions.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, something I think is interesting is that we have, when I look at secondary progressions, the moon is the first thing I always look at because it moves the fastest. And it's in Aries in the fourth house. And so I think it's kind of speaking to what we've already been talking. It's really close to that uh Chiron.
It's also
So
squaring the sun.
and squaring the sun. So it's like speaking to this like especially right now at this moment, like we were talking about Trump and the Golden Palace and all that stuff. It's like the fourth house can be about the people too. It can be about the underdog,
Yep.
especially when you're thinking about the moon, right? You can think about the people that are maybe, yeah, like the 10th house is like who's in power. The fourth house can be like who's not in power.
The
The
little
little people, yeah. And there's so in Aries, and then it's interesting because we also have right now. I mean, not in this chart, but in uh, not real currently Neptune in Aries. So there's this very Neptune and Aries vibe anyway, I think, happening overall. So it's just kind of interesting that the moon is in Aries. And I think it's speaking to this individualistic thing of oh, there's a lot of things. There's kind of feeling like things are starting over. It's also feeling like I maybe have to just look out for myself, or maybe, the king, the sun is not looking out for my best interest. And there's this sense of, as we're approaching that Chiron of like, who are we really? What are we made of?
Yeah, what are we made of?
Mhm.
Um, maybe our hyper independence or our hyper individuality is hurting us more than it's helping. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have an identity or be an individual. I'm not trying to say that, but there is we've got to learn how to be individualistic but yet still contribute and care about the collective.
Yeah.
Right? There's this, and I don't, it's like why haven't we figured this out? Like
Well, I think that like nuance is important, and the average American, no offense to the average American, but the average American doesn't understand nuance. It's all or nothing often, right? And in order to be a more complex thinker, a more complex human being, you have to embrace nuance and complexity, and that there certain things can be many things at once.
yes,
And that's hard for the average person to,
to see and yeah, to
yeah. But maybe this will help the average person get there. I don't know.
maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing how their own, it's also like seeing how their own individual actions don't,
Affects others.
yes, exactly. It's not just about I'm going to do what I want, blah, blah, blah. And like there's a every action has a reaction, right? So how,
Yes.
and I maybe we're starting, maybe hopefully we're starting to see how we as individuals function like that, how we are actually hurting the collective and thus actually hurting ourselves too. Um,
Yeah. That is my dream outcome of all of this, right? Is that there's an awakening in the people, and that, as hard as things can get, at the end of the day, we are resilient, and what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And, sometimes the hardest fights can create
yeah, can
what
create
what
something
needs
better.
to happen for the better. Yeah.
Another thing I noticed here, and I usually will just look at the moon, but this does catch my attention, this Mars on Saturn,
Yeah.
having moved here
Libra.
in Libra and retrograde, and the fact that again, Saturn being lit up by that south node in solar arcs, this going
Yeah.
on at the same time. It
Don't
feels
love it. I don't love
no,
it.
because this just feels frustrated. This feels frustrated.
Yes. It's frustrated. It's this feeling of going backwards. It's a feeling of not being able to uh
Feeling
stabilize. I don't,
that right there is yes, that right there because it's like what would actually be stabilizing for us is this just feels stuck. Like knowing that needs to happen, but not like knowing how to do it.
right. Sometimes you have to be uh really pushed in a corner and pushed into a corner in order to wake up. That's kind
Yeah.
of my next thought about it, right?
Yeah. You've got to be nailed to a wall before you,
Yeah.
or the threatening of being nailed to a wall before,
Hmm.
that's, yeah, that is what this feels like to me too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about this one?
The the last real big thing I see here is that north node on the Mercury
Yeah.
retrograde.
Yes.
So it when I think about the North Node, I think about future, forward momentum, whatever is coming ahead. And so Mercury retrograde, our natal as a country, Mercury retrograde, being lit up as like going forward. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what I think about that, but it does feel like our voice is going to be the most important thing.
I think so too. It also makes me wonder about the friends we have.
And the friends we have. Well, we've got some dirty friends that we shouldn't be friends with. I know that for sure.
I'm wondering if this ties to that at all.
I
Uh,
kind of hope so.
like going back and see, and I say friends, the reason why I use friends is because, Mercury is the ruler of the seventh house. And while seventh house isn't friends necessarily, it's close one-on-one relationships of all varieties.
Partnerships,
And
yeah,
this does make me wonder if we're going to go back and perhaps evaluate who those close partnerships are and maybe edit that.
maybe.
I think that would be a beautiful way to work.
Yeah, I like the idea of it.
I like the idea of it too. It's like, does it happen? Does it come to it?
Yeah,
Could. The thing
yeah,
about all of this is all of these transits, secondary progressions, solar arcs, solar return, like the power is in our hands, right? We can do
yeah.
whatever we want with this. These energies are there though. And this is like one of those things where it's like, it's right for the taking. We could.
We could. Right, exactly. We're just talking about possibilities. Um, my main takeaway from all of the from looking at the secondary progressions, this situation, I'm just very much focused. It feels like the our voice, right? Like speaking up, not being quiet, it's super important.
And learning when to talk when it matters and maybe shut the fuck up when it doesn't.
That's true.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean? And like using our voice where it matters. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think sometimes we're not so great about that.
No, we're not. Like, yeah, it's that again, it's that Jupiter ruled ascendant,
Yeah.
taking things a little far, a little too far, doing a little mu too much.
A little too much, a little extra.
Yeah, a little extra.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to mention about any of these charts that we've looked at? I know we were talking about keeping it around an hour.
Yeah, yeah, I should probably go. Well, you know, I think overall, it's obviously looks pretty tough, right? But like we were saying in the beginning, I think you don't have to be an astrologer to know that, right? Like I think we all kind of see that.
And feel it and
Yeah. And I think what the thing that makes me feel better about looking at these charts is it helps me focus on because we have a lot going on,
yeah,
right? There's a lot of stuff going on. What are some of the things we can be focusing on? And I'm hoping that that the people wake up and understand that class consciousness is how we get to a better version of this country.
yeah. Yes, it is. And not skirting around that issue, but actually
Yeah.
addressing that issue. Again, that's talking where it matters.
Talking where it matters. It also means that like the person that like say you voted for Trump and you like barely have a dollar to your name, but somehow you think you're the same as him, you need to learn you're not. Like that's what this is about here. Like you are not the same. You are not going to be, you're not that rich person that he is. And so there's a lot of like fantasy also with Sagittarius rising. There's a lot of fantasy, like
Yeah.
people thinking that they're rich like that. And it's like people voting against their own interests. Like I'm hoping that we get to like voting for the things that actually matter and not this fantasy if you think you are.
And voting in what your best interest is and not just what people around you are doing or what you know what I mean? Like really
Yeah.
voting for whatever is in the person's best interest because I think if people were to do that, I think most people, if they were to vote in what was in their best interest, it would actually be in the collective's interest as well.
Yeah, it would.
Right? Generally speaking, that's kind of that goes back to the idea of, if we the individual and the collective being able to merge. But
Hmm.
we've got too many people voting on I don't know what the fuck they're voting on.
They're voting on things that don't affect them. There's a lot of that, and that needs to stop.
Yeah. Yes. Well, William, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. That's probably the social media platform I'm on the most, and it's william.stanley.holloway. But I'm also on YouTube. That's where my true crime astrology podcast is, which is called Astrology of the Unknown. And I also have another podcast just called Orbitals. That is a regular astrology podcast, and that's streaming and all the things. WilliamHolloway.com. No, WilliamHollowayAstrology.com.
Sometimes I fuck my shit up too when I'm talking
Yeah,
about. I'm like, what's
because
it
I
called?
think there's a WilliamHolloway.com but he was like, I want to say he was a lawyer. It's like a 20-year-old site, but I think it's still up there. But
So
no.
you direct people there, and it's like, who the
Yeah,
hell is
no.
that?
Yeah. Make sure to put astrology in there. That's the difference.
And I will make sure to make it easy for everybody. I will make sure and put it in the description box. All of these things you just said. All of them.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
But thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about this. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
this was a lot of fun. It's always fun talking to you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. And it's always fun talking to you too. And for everybody else, I'm gonna head off, but I'll see you later.